Excuse me.
Yes?
I don't think you have internet.
Okay. Okay.
It's right in front of you. You don't need to.
Yes, I'm checking whether it is
Okay.
Yeah.
before.
And not just that, I mean, there are people who are not here, and if they want to ask questions, it also helps. So,
I know.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's get started. So today, interesting. Okay. So today we're going to talk about multitasking. We kind of already talked a little bit about this topic when we were talking about multimodal interaction, multiple devices, and things like this. So this is a small extension to that. So we are right now on week 5, so we have 2 more weeks to go until the spring break. Right now, we're pretty much doing implementation with background services and things like that on the homework stage. And then that's pretty much it. So the last one is literally just pushing all the changes you've done until like for the next 2 weeks. That's it. Okay. And Kennedy and Valerie, they will kind of help you to at least so that you have a full set complete application. There's a few things here, like for example, creating a package, like how do you do that using Android Studio? How do you sign a package? So for you to be allowed to put an app on the Play Store, you need to sign it. So every developer, let's put it this way, they have a certificate which they use to authenticate the package, and that's what it means by signing. So that means that after you learn to do that, you can actually deploy applications to the Play Store. So Google has 25 euros for life kind of developer account. So you can do that if you want, not for the class, but let's say in the future, if you want to start making applications for the Play Store, it's a 25 euros fee that they charge. And then from that moment on, you can just publish applications in there. And this will teach you how do you sign a package. And then when you want to put something in the Play Store, you use that signed package to put it on the Play Store. And there's also a tutorial on this screencasting, like how do you capture the video of the actual application? Because you will need that for this here. Yeah, so then basically you'll be pretty much ready, or at least you'll have a feeling of what it is to make an app from scratch. How do you add services? How do you make interfaces? How do you save data? And then also in the class right now, we will teach you like how do you do text-to-speech, voice recognition, all these things that are a bit more advanced, but at least it will give you a nice skill set so that you can see what you can do actually with Android with libraries and things like this. It's actually mostly me who's going to be teaching these parts here, because they will be focusing more on the homework and the app itself. But yeah, anyway. So there's no question that nowadays we kind of have what we call an information overload. There's actually an article that says that in the 1870s, a lifetime worth of information is now just a single newspaper issue on the New York Times. And that's just insane if you think about it, that in just one single day, you get more than what someone would get a whole life in just one newspaper. That's just crazy. And then they also say that the digital universe, so everything that is online, has been growing like exponentially in the last years. And then the way people communicate has also evolved. And so there's an example here that there's actually 450,000 more words in English, just English, than when William Shakespeare wrote his books. So it's just crazy. And if we think about it, this is just thinking about what's going on outside. But if you think about yourself, your brain is constantly bombarded with information. So either that is the news, either that is social media, either that is your phone, emails, phone calls, everything that goes around you. And so that raises quite a lot of care and concerns, I guess, when you have to interact with the user and you're making technology that will have a interaction with the user, okay? So what is happening is that normally people multitask. And so there's actually an article, there's a link here from Nielsen's group. And basically what they're finding is that in general, we use our smartphone whenever we are doing something else. And they're seeing this, especially when you're watching TV. You no longer just watch TV. You're always looking at the TV and probably have your phone in your hand or close to you, and you get a message, and you are multitasking in this way. The same thing is that, for example, you don't just listen to radio. Before, people used to do that. They would just turn on the radio, and they would sit down, drink some coffee, and just listen to the radio. And nowadays, it's not like that. You turn on the radio, you're probably going to do something else, maybe check your phone while you're hearing something. And then they also found this kind of urge. So people have this itch that they need to check. And it's like they cannot leave their devices like lying on some desk or something like this, where they just need to check whether or not they got a new email or did they get some new message or something like this. And there's a breakdown here, and you can see here that 34% is actually from social. So that means like Facebook, WhatsApp, Snapchat, whatever. And then it's more or less breaking down between entertainment, other applications. And so it's more or less the same, no matter if you look at a smartphone or a tablet. Some people prefer bigger devices. There's some arguments that, you know, a tablet is more for when you are at home, and a smartphone is more when you're like all over the place. But in general, the use that people have is very similar for the devices. And of course, we all know that, you know, people take their smartphones to the bathroom and they stay there for hours. But yeah, so it's an issue, right? So let's do an experiment. Let's turn on the sound of your phones and see how many notifications do we get during the class. So let's do it now. So you'll be surprised how social media and apps and stuff don't get quiet. But let's do this and see how many times we actually hear a notification during the class. Last time that we did this, I think we got like 40 something notifications during the class. Before that, we got like 100 and something. So it gets, but anyway. So let's just use this experiment. So I already showed this kind of before a little bit. So how do you multitask on your phone? And so depending on the phone you have, these will be different. So this is how you multitask on Android N. So this started with version 7 of Android, where Google changed how what you could do with your phone itself. And I showed this how you do it before, but I can just give you a small recap.
And what we learned from our user research is that over 99% of the time, people only selected apps within the last 7. So we decided to simplify by automatically removing apps in the list that you haven't used in a while. This then makes it much easier to find the apps that you're looking for. Also, based on popular demands, we finally added a clear all button at the top. Yeah, feels good. But my absolute favorite feature is something that we call Quick Switch. You can now flip to the previous app you're in just by double tapping the Recents button from anywhere. You can think of it like a simplified alt-tab. And it's amazingly useful in so many situations. For example, let's say I'm in a phone call and I'm trying to coordinate an event. I can flip over to the calendar app I was just in by double tapping the recents button at the bottom right. From there, I can check my schedule and then flip back to the dialer by double tapping the recents button again. It's pretty cool. Now, many of you have also asked for the ability to display more than one app at the same time. So we've invested a lot of effort in redesigning our window management framework in N. And we're introducing two powerful new windowing modes in this release: split screen and picture-in-picture. Split screen is designed for tablets and phones, and it's really simple to use. So for example, let's say I'm watching a video on YouTube to learn how to make the best nachos. I can line tap on the recents button to enter multi-window, and from there launch something like Google Keep, for example. Now I can update my shopping list for ingredients while I'm watching the video. The second mode, picture-in-picture, is designed for Android TV, and it's a great way to let you keep watching something while you perform another task. For example, let's say I'm watching a live TV program on retro gaming, and they're talking about Pac-Man, and I want to see if I can install and play the game myself. I can put the live content into picture-in-picture mode to keep watching it, and then go ahead and perform a voice search for Pac-Man. This will then give me an option to install the game from the Play Store all at the same time as watching the content. It's pretty cool.
Scary, huh? But you can see it goes beyond your phone. Sorry.
That split screen is fucking annoying when it comes like accidental.
Yes, yes, that is true. So the split screen, yeah. So if this is triggered and if it's too sensitive, then yes, you get issues like this, and it's not perfect. I mean, so much so that actually Google has changed this again. It's no longer like that. So if let me show you my phone, so I can show you how it works on mine. I think I already showed this last time, but let me open this up here. Okay. Six. Okay. Okay. So this is my phone, and if I want to multitask, so you can see that on my phone there's no button, there's no buttons at all, and so the Google has changed so that everything is gesture-based. I can change that. So this is actually a setting. I have Android 10, so that's the latest version. But I can actually change that if I go to the system, and then there's this gestures option here, and I can system navigation. So I can change that. Here it just says gesture navigation, but if I want to, I can also have these three buttons, which is the traditional. This is what they have. But they changed that now to be gesture-based. And the way it works is that I can multitask. You can see there's this line here, and that's where the active area of the screen is. So if I want to, say, see what I was running, I can just go from the bottom to half of the screen. And then if I let it go, it actually shows what I currently have open, okay? If I want to clear something, I can clear it. And if I want to do the multi-screen, I press the icon on the top, and then I can split the screen. So this avoids this issue that you are trying to navigate with the buttons on the bottom, and you take longer. This also makes it harder to find these. So it's hidden. I know these because I've been using it, and it kind of taught me how to do it as I went through it. But for example, I didn't know how to do the split screen until like maybe a couple of weeks ago. Because I was going through the material and I was thinking like, actually, how do you do that now? And I didn't know, and that's when I found this. There's actually a new one here that it's not even on video, it's freeform. So the freeform actually makes my phone act as a desktop. So if I press there, you can see here, actually this is a window that I can move around. And so I can have multiple windows open. Of course, the screen is so tiny that this doesn't make any sense, but it might be that in the future, Google will enable a desktop mode. And this is something I actually found in the developer settings. So if I go here to the developer settings, they have here something that they seem to be working on it. And we're actually going to see something like that. So there's this here, force desktop mode. So force experimental desktop mode on secondary displays, which means that it might be that at some point Google is going to enable functionality that if you have your phone connected to a USB-C display, you can actually see like a desktop mode, where you can actually use your phone as a computer, which is quite neat. If you ask me, just that it's not available yet. Even though I have here force mode, if I connect the USB-C display, I don't get any image from the phone, but I think it's only a matter of time. Okay, so I'll just stop that. Let's go back to the lecture. All right, so that's on Android. So iPhone also has something similar. So let me show you that, how that looks like on iPhone. Okay, one.
So let's start here on my iPad. And what I'm going to do first is double tap on the home button, and you'll see our new task switcher. It's really gorgeous. Big, full screen previews of all the apps. Just move right into Safari like this. Because often when I get an app like Safari, I just want to quickly check my messages. So now, with just a single finger swipe from the side, I can slide it right in with what we call slide over. And of course, it's fully interactive right here. I can take a look, maybe type a response, put it right back. I'm back in Safari. You do that again. Now from the top, I can pull down and bring in other applications. So let's bring in calendar. Of course, fully interactive, so I can tap into another day. Let's bring in another app. I'm going to bring in the new Notes app, just like that. Now, sometimes, of course, I want to stay working in Notes and Safari, both at the same time. So I can just tap here on the divider, and now I'm in split view. They're both completely active. In fact, for the first time ever, multi-app, multi-touch. I can move them both at the same time.
I don't know why someone would do that, but sure.
Now, Notes is actually pinned to the side now. So I want to show you what happens when I switch apps. I'm just going to move over here, Photos, and you notice now I have Photos with Notes on the side. This is really great if I'm taking notes while working across a bunch of different experiences. And of course, those 4-finger gestures continue to work great, so I can just swipe my way right back into Safari like that. I can follow links, of course, for my notes. So let me just tap on this link, and you see Safari loads it right here on the side. Now I can adjust this split, so let me just move that over to a nice 50-50 view with Notes and Safari. And I can tap on links to other apps. So let's follow a link into Maps. See, Maps just, oh, I really want location accuracy. Thank you, very helpful. So slides right in and shows me the location. I can follow another link and you see Maps adjust. I'm able to just stay focused right here in these two apps side by side. And let's say I want to now work on Notes full screen. Just pull right across like that. I'm in full screen Notes. Now, this gives me a great opportunity to show you what's new with the QuickType keyboard. So I have a to-do list I'm building here.
This is something else now. But anyway, it's something that companies are thinking, and they are trying to satisfy this need that we have to be able to do the other one or two. They're trying to get as much as possible people to be able to fulfill what they want, which is being able to use more than one thing at the same time. I'm not sure, and I'm being critical here, I'm not sure if the phone is the best medium for that, because normally we have a computer to do this kind of multitasking. You can have multiple apps running at the same time, but the phone is actually becoming more like a computer, right? So let's see. This is where you can see manufacturers are trying to fill in this gap. So I showed you before, and I'll tell you, it seems to me that Google is working on this. Actually, Samsung has been working on this since Samsung S8. So they have here, this is what we call the Samsung DeX. And basically this is probably the future of what could be a computer for you going forward. Oops, go back.
Some guys have all about is harnessing the power of the S8 device and extending this to this desktop environment, right? Larger screen, keyboard, and mouse. And it's really about simplicity and convenience. So really, really excited to show you it in action. So it really starts again with the S8 device, but as well, we have the Dex Station, right? So I'll have to surround the pictures of it. But this is what enables the experience in terms of connectivity to your larger screen keyboard and mouse. There's USB Type-C charger, HDMI, 2 USB to out ports, and a party.
So for this to work, you actually need that specific device. It's like a dock where you put your phone, and then it has display
Really
and
simple experience.
USBs
This
and
bundle off,
things
maybe
like that.
the hot test at work, have an S8 device, simply dock into the Dex Station. In a few seconds, you'll see the experience load on the face. Loads up. What you'll see it presented with my lock screen. What's great in terms of the simple and convenient way to access your desktop experience is I can, of course, type a password in. I can also use the biometric authentication we're introducing in the S8 device. In this case, like face recognition. I can click here, look at my phone, and it'll unlock my desktop experience. See what's right into the desktop experience. When I get my desktop experience, what you see here is that it's optimized, right? But it's not just the blown up mirror version of one phone. It's actually take advantage of all real estate, the ability to organize and customize the look and feel.
So as you can see, they're bringing a desktop experience that is powered by your smartphone. And you can use normal keyboard and mouse. You can use these external devices. The dock itself also has USB ports and Ethernet port. So literally, you're just using your smartphone as basically your computer. And you have access to all the apps you have installed before and the storage and everything. But this requires you to buy this device, and sometimes you don't want to do that. So here's another one that actually extended this a little bit. And what they decided to do is actually making a laptop shell. And so basically, the engine of your laptop is your phone. Then you just have a laptop, which is the keyboard and the screen as a laptop. So for you to get this to work, you just plug it in your phone, and basically that loads on the laptop. So let me show you how that works.
Your smartphone has your whole life on it. It's your point of connection to the people and world around you. It's also an incredibly powerful computer. The speed and power of our smartphones rarely hold us back, but the small screens and limited interface often do. Introducing the Superbook, a simple plug-and-play device that turns your Android smartphone into a beautiful laptop computer. Just connect your phone using a USB cable. The Superbook provides the keyboard, multi-touch trackpad, and display, and your smartphone brings the computing power along with your files and apps. And of course, the Superbook can use your smartphone's data, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth connectivity. The Superbook has over 8 hours of battery life, and it even charges your smartphone. It works with all modern Android devices, and it's future-proof. When you get a new smartphone, it'll still work with your Superbook. It's like getting a brand new laptop every time you upgrade. The Superbook is powered by Sentio, an app that makes Android function like a familiar desktop operating system. You get a mouse cursor, keyboard shortcuts, desktop class browsing, and easy file management. And your favorite apps from the Play Store work great with Sentio. So get a Superbook today and experience the future of computing.
Okay, so that's one. Sorry?
What about C++ compilers?
Yes, that's a good point. You can actually also run Linux terminal. Yeah. So you can do like basically Linux. I mean, Android itself is run on top of Linux kernel. And so if you put a terminal app, you can actually also compile these things.
Yes.
Yeah. But Yes. So of course, this is not a solution for everything. Of course, there are apps that only work on Windows. There are apps that only work on Linux. It doesn't work on Android. And so this only fits in when your needs are more, web browsing, maybe Word and things like this. You can't do, I guess, MATLAB, for example. This won't work with MATLAB. Yeah. Here's another device. So this one is unfortunately discontinued, so they are not thinking about it anymore. This was just an add-on for a display.
Introducing Remix Singularity, the latest innovation in Remix OS that finally unleashes the power of it. Dock your phone with Remix Singularity to a monitor and experience everything that Remix OS has to offer. Streamline multiple window multitasking, full keyboard and mouse optimization, all bundled in a user experience designed to give you everything you want and need in a new OS you already know. Power your life with Remix OS Mobile.
So this was another alternative to this Samsung dock that this one would work also with any phone. Unfortunately, they never made it. They used to have these Android boxes that you could use as a desktop, and that's what this Remix OS is from. And then they were thinking about expanding that to any device, and then unfortunately they didn't get it. However, it doesn't mean that people are not trying. So there's actually an app called Lena. It sounds Finnish for those who are Finnish. So Lena OS is basically a smartphone launcher. If you install this on your phone, basically you can actually run using your phone screen, unfortunately, or if you cast the screen like I do, for example, to show you what I see here, you can actually have a desktop environment that you can interact with. And so this is another app where you don't need any special dongles or any other hardware except your phone and the app. That's it. I'll skip the video so that we don't spend the whole day looking at videos here. So why is multitasking important? So for example, you might want to offload tasks. So you might want to start something, or you want to have something running in the background while you're doing something else. So for example, listening to music, you can do that. And so that's the offloading aspect of it. The other thing is that, you might want, if it's something that takes a long time, you might want to have that happen in the background and then let the user know when it's done. So this is some multitasking thing. The other thing is network. So network, nowadays we are kind of spoiled with high-speed internet. But in the old days, it could take hours to download a file. And even today, nowadays, like if you're downloading something that is big, you don't want to be stopped from or prevented to do something else while it's doing that thing. And then the other thing is, network is unreliable sometimes. Sometimes you have internet, sometimes you don't. And on Android and also the guidelines for developing is that any network of action needs to be asynchronous. What that means is that anything that happens in regards to the internet cannot block the user from doing what he wants to do. And you'll see that when you're doing Android development. So when you're coding anything that would require internet connection, like retrieving something from the online, if you try to do that on the main activity, it's going to crash. It's actually going to tell you that you cannot do that. That you need to do this either on the service or using an async task. So you need to do this without blocking the user's action. Okay. The other thing is this, out of sight, out of mind. And so if you think about, let's say, a news application, you might want to refresh, what are the latest headlines without the user actually being specifically using it. And so you can actually do this kind of things where the app does things in the background without you noticing. So things like WhatsApp, checking if there's new messages, going online to the server, retrieving those messages, downloading it, and showing you a notification. These things happen without you having to go to your phone and press a button to do that. Okay. So future. So LG, they have been thinking about a lot of these multitasking capabilities of technology. So here's one of them that they actually released not so long ago. So they're thinking about flexible displays where you can interact with technology across devices, things like this. And this also shows you like how technology itself has been evolving at a very rapid pace.
The birth of display
If you think
was
about
the
it,
beginning
that
of a
kind of
new
TV
world.
was in the 1980s.
In the world that was revealed by the display, we saw a brighter future. We have turned imagination into reality. We have finally opened up a new realm of innovation for OLED after overcoming numerous challenges through our passion. We will make this new world with values that rise above the technology we have known so far. Display, which broke away from the limits of form, more freely overcame the hindrances of expression to expand the value of beauty into a realm of creation close to an art. While substituting for familiar functions and emotions, we are continuing to imagine through infinity.
So here they're bringing the metaphor of updates. They come from one device to another device.
A window of communication which allows mutual understanding beyond the visible world. It always leads us to selecting the best by swiftly reacting, even at unexpected moments. The unlimited evolution of technology turns all imagination to a display into reality. Our old dreams of getting desired information have just all been realized by wearable devices. More satisfactory routines are made to be enjoyed by always providing optimum conditions. Furthermore, our desired values are provided anywhere and anytime through thinner and lighter forms. Interface without gap between humans and technology. As OLED technology enters into our environment and forms, our work in life will be made anew even further. And at the end of all the changes, our dreams will be realized.
Anyway, so you got the idea. So it might be that what we consider today as a norm, like say a laptop or a computer or even a smartphone might change. And us as application developers or researchers, we will be probably the ones creating some of these visions a reality. So in 2018, there were no bendable phones, displays. Today, so this is what I showed in 2018, so that was 2 years ago. They had just announced the existence of these displays. devices that you can bend, you can change the shape. So not like these that are hard. Kind of water. So displays are becoming more like paper. And so fast forward to today, yeah.
But are they like easy to straighten up?
Yes. Good question. I'm going to show you how that actually works today. So fast forward to today. This was just announced in 2019. So this was December, just right now. This is the Motorola Razr. If you're a geek like me, you had one of these in the 2000s. This was like the device to have at that time. Very small phone.
Motorola was present
That's how it
at
looked like.
CES 2020, where it showcased its new foldable smartphone. Hello guys, and welcome to Gadget 360. This is our first look at the Motorola Razr 2019. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell icon so you know when we post new videos.
Okay. So these
The
devices are
Motorola
now
Razr
available
2019 is
for.
pretty reminiscent of the original Motorola Razr, including the curved bottom chin. But don't get fooled by nostalgia because everything has changed. This new design is even water repellent. The Motorola Razr uses an
So it even has
advanced
a display on
flexible
the
OLED
actual
screen and
top.
a hinge mechanism that allows the phone to close with both
So here,
sides
this is
lying
also
flat
display.
against each other. When
When you fold
unfolded, you get a 6.2-inch HD Plus OLED display with a tall 21:9 aspect ratio. There's a secondary 2.7-inch quick view display on the outside that can be used to take selfies, check notifications, control music playback, and more when the device is folded.
So what sounded like, oh, that's too far away, it actually didn't take that long.
It said that there's this camera on the back.
There's a camera on the back,
Yes.
which is also for the front if you fold.
Yes, and it said you can take selfies.
Yes.
So why?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know what people think of this, but that's a good question.
But why he got to that specifically that?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess nowadays people take the younger generation take a lot of selfies. So I don't know. Yeah. So this is Motorola, but other people are doing this. So Samsung has the Samsung Fold, and this is more like a tablet-sized device.
It was once said that smartphone innovation couldn't go any further. But we've pushed beyond what's possible and redefined the mobile category, introducing a device like no other, Galaxy Fold.
2,000 euros.
Ergonomically designed to fit within the palm of your hand, Fold's compact outer display is the first to enable truly one-handed, on-the-go responses. Fold isn't just a meticulously crafted luxury smartphone. We've fine-tuned every last detail to make it a revolutionary, high-end tablet experience.
So you can go from a smartphone to a
The
tablet.
immersive main
The same
display
device.
brings your favorite movies and games so close, they'll leave you truly breathless. All while wrapped.
And you also have Microsoft. Microsoft themselves have also been thinking about these displays. However, Microsoft took a different approach. So instead of having a foldable display, they actually have a foldable device with two displays. And so they did that because they are afraid that by folding and opening, the display will break. So for example, the first trial that Samsung did for the Fold, the first batch actually was faulty. And at the hands of the reviewers, it would break after a week of use. And so they have worked on it, and they say that now it's better. I'm still a bit skeptical because, you know, it's a physical thing and it opens and closes several times. And if you think about how much people use a smartphone, I'm not so sure that's going to be robust enough to last like a lifetime. In a way, I'm actually a bit more excited about this one. And lo and behold, this is actually running Android. So Microsoft is no longer trying to push Windows Phone or anything. It's actually running Android. Okay, let's go back here. So this is how the device looks like. So it even has like a keyboard, like an actual physical keyboard that you can push.
Sometimes I can feel
This is in reality two displays. They are separate, just that they work in tandem.
I get a feeling that I never had before.
So you can see here, she opened email. You can have multiple things running.
I really do believe something's gotta hold on
If you
to
choose
you.
one email on this side, it actually opens the email on the other one.
Oh, something's gotta hold on me right now. Let me tell you now, I've got a feeling it's so strange. Everything about me seems to have changed. Step by step, I've got a brand new world. I even felt sweeter when I told you so. Oh, keep feeling whole. It must be love, it must be love.
So they are actually going to release this in Christmas this year, 2020. They're still working on it. But I think it's a very exciting device in terms of computing and what you can do with it. So what is the biggest challenge in multitasking? What do you think is the biggest challenge? Any ideas?
Human concentration.
Bingo. Exactly. Getting the user's attention. That is the hardest thing you can do when you're doing multitasking. On Android, we have different ways to get the user's attention. So I'm going to show you a few of them. So toasts are literally a temporarily visible message that allows you to tell the user that something is happening. You can use notifications, and that's quite common. You've seen these. It can be persistent or not. That's why I have it in parentheses in there. So you get a message that stays on the notification bar. It can stay there forever until the user actually interacts with it, or it can actually go away after a while. We have alert dialogue. So this is basically when you really need to stop everything you're doing on your phone, and you need to pay attention to what I'm telling you. And then there's snack bars, which is an evolution of toasts. Actually, Google, in the material design guidelines, they say don't use toasts, just use the snack bar. And so this is basically an evolution of that one. So that one is non-interactive, so that shows you a message that you cannot do anything about it. So it appears and then disappears, and there's no buttons on it. But the snack bar can have buttons. So you can do things like, for example, to allow actions, undo. So if you use Gmail application on your phone or Outlook or whatever, when you delete a message or you're archiving a message, it actually appears on the bottom like this has been deleted, and then there's a button there that says undo. So if you want to, oh, no, that was a mistake. So that prevents human error. So how do you do these? So that's how a toast looks like. That's a toast. Sorry, this is a toast. So it's like this. It's like a small message, and this is how you do it in code. So you just, there's a class called post, make text, application context, the message you want to appear, and then for how long you want it to appear. So there are only two options. So length can be short or long. So short is about 3 seconds, and if it's long, it's about 10 seconds. And this just tells it to show. So in code, that's how you do it. So if you think about notifications, I mean, everyone's familiar with notifications. Android has had a bad reputation over the years where every different version of Android, they have a different way to implement notifications. So some older phones, for example, they don't have icons or they don't have actions like these. And so Google, the way they decided to do it is so that you as a developer, you don't need to worry about it. And so this is called the builder design pattern. So for those who have some experience in software engineering, so the builder basically allows you to not have to think about the intricacies of how you should implement a notification depending on the Android version. And so what it does is you can specify everything and then let the operating system decide how to display that depending on the phone, okay? Here's how you implement notification. There's a link here if you want to change it and add new buttons and stuff. So in this example here, I'm actually showing it without any actions here, but you can add. So what you need to think about the notification is that what the user is going to do, what the user is going to do with the notification is not going to be in real time. So the user is going to get a notification, and then when he taps it, something is going to happen, and that is called a pending intent. Okay, and that's what I have on the top. I'm going to make use of this. Okay, so you have a pending intent. So that's basically what I want it to do is it's going to do this trigger. And so it's going to send a broadcast with that trigger. That's it. On this specific example. I already coded this. I will show you this in actual application so you can see how this looks like. So you start by making a notification object, and you use a builder. And so you set the title, so that's what's here. And then you set the content, so that's this message here, basically. You can also set a number. There's an integer, so you can set a number there if you want. And then you send this content intent. So what happens when you taps it? And so that's a pending intent. So that's that there. You have this flag here, auto cancel. So when the user taps it, you want the notification to disappear automatically. Some applications, they have that. Some other applications, they want the notification to stay there. Even though if we tap it, it will stay there. So you can also turn that to false if you want it. You can specify a small icon. So that's the icon that appears when you have it like shrink. And then you can also specify a large icon, and that's something that appears here. Okay? And then you can also specify the priority. So that means that if the user has the phone muted, do you want the notification to be like you want the sound to appear or not? So if you set this to the maximum, so there's a priority, it can be max, low, default is the default. So that means that if you use the default, that means it will respect whatever the user has specified to be the ringtone. So if the phone is muted, if you specify it as not disturbing right now, it doesn't do it. It respects the user's choice. And that's where the Google actually say, please use the default, don't override it. Because if you really want the phone to be muted, you don't want your phone to be ringing because of your application. So that's the thing. So Google, the operating system has what we call a notification service, and that's where basically you schedule all the notifications. So because of the different versions of Android, starting on Android O, so that's Android 9, Oreo, they started organizing notifications by channels. So what I meant is that the user can block specific kinds of notifications. So if you have a channel that is social media, for example, you can just block those, so you never get social media notifications that come on that same channel. And so starting on Android 8, which is O, you need to specify what channel is this notification going to be delivered. If you don't do that, it's going to crash if you run this on any Android that is 8 or higher. So I have here a check. Is my phone running Android 8 or higher? And so that's why I have this here as an example. So you need to create a channel where you specify the notification, you specify the channel ID, okay? And the ID is nothing more than string. And then you ask the manager to notify you. So this number here is a number, so like a code, that allows you to actually in the background, you can tell the notification manager to remove your notification. So this is the only way you have to clear a notification after you showed it if you don't specify the auto cancel. Of course, the user can also just go there and swipe it away, okay? There's one more setting here, which is set persistent. So you can also specify it to always be visible, so the user cannot swipe it away. You can also have this kind of yeah. Okay, so that's notifications. Alert dialogues, like I said, it's a showstopper. So if you're doing something on your device and you see it's blurred out the background, and then you have this dialogue that asks the user to either confirm, for example. So you should only use these if you really want to get the user's attention, because it really blocks your whole operating system or your whole app activity so that the user cannot do anything else except interact with that dialogue. Similar to what happened with the notifications, alert dialogues have different ways to implement this depending on the operating system. So Google decided to do the same thing with the builder. And so that's how it looks like. So you have an alert dialog, you have the builder, and then you specify the title, so that's what it is here. And then the message, so that's the messaging here. And you can see you don't actually have much space. So if you do these alert dialogs, they are normally very short and brief messages, things like, are you sure you want to do this? Things like this, okay? So don't put like a wall of text in there, just keep it like 2-3 lines of text. And then you can specify 1, 2, 3 buttons, that's it. And these are positive, negative, and neutral, okay? And so normally, like I said, the guidelines is that positive actions stay on the right, okay? And so you can specify, so set button positive, yes? And then when you tap it, what happens? In this case, I just put a post in there for the example. And then if you want to put the negative, you can say no, and the text, just have a post to say no. And that shows the alert. And so this, what you're seeing here is not what you get from that. I actually have that on my Android Studio. But this is essentially, you're specifying these two. And if you didn't specify the neutral, so there's a button called neutral, it doesn't show. This doesn't appear at all, okay? You can also have things like OK. So things like you would just have the button positive, that's it. And you could just say, I've deleted this, and then you press OK. But probably you shouldn't use an alert dialog to just say something that the user, just to acknowledge something to the user. You probably should use a snack bar. So a snack bar, how does it look like? It looks like this. So it's just a message that appears from the bottom, and it has a very short thing. So if you just want to confirm to the user, okay, that was successful, you can just use a snack bar to do that. Or a toast. Snack bars are nicer, they look better, if you ask me. And similar to the toast, you also have a length, which can be short or long or indefinite. So you can actually have a snack bar that is always visible once it shows. And then you can add actions to the snack bar. So this is a button here. Of course, you can see the space is limited. So you should keep it like 2 actions at most. And there's a potential for human error. So in general, the guidelines say use 1 button for the snack bar if you need to use a button. This is part of the material design package from Google. So if you want to have access to this in your code, you need to use this library. If you create a new project with Android Studio, like the wizard, it actually adds that for you because they are trying to promote the material design. So that's how I do it. And this is how you do it in code. So if you create an object from a snack bar, what you have here, this main container is the parent, the layout, the name of the layout that will hold this snack bar. This is the message that appears, and this is called how long, and then I set an action which is high, and that shows there. So if we transition to Android Studio, I can show you how this looks like. So I just made a very simple application to show you this today. So I had an activity that just has 4 buttons, very simple. And in here I have how do you trigger a toast? Oh, that's really tiny. Okay. All right. So how do you trigger a toast? And how do you trigger a notification? So this is literally the copy paste of what I had on the slides. How do you do an alert, a dialogue, and how do you do a snack bar? So let me show you how this is.
So
Yeah.
there's different how to use what?
Okay.
How to use that notification, how to
Yes.
use the alert dialog.
Yes. They are different.
They like notification builder. Is it usually used like that? You notification builder returns notification, and then you can.
And then you can specify it. Yeah. Here.
Set content title.
Yes.
And then it returns that notification.
Yes.
You can set the content text, and that returns the notification.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that alert dialog builder.
It does the same. So you.
But
There's.
in that you have like that create returns alert dialog.
Yes.
But then you have just.
I just have the show.
But does that set title return alert dialog?
No.
Okay.
It just updates the parameters inside the object.
Yeah, but the other one returns. You checked. Like
Yes. So yeah, now I get it. So I don't have the notification box at content. Yeah. So yeah, so this one is a bit different from that one.
Yeah.
The builder design pattern should be like that.
Yes.
This one is flaky. Yes, I agree. We're talking about software engineering. So the thing is, the way this builder has been implemented is not correct. So behind the scenes, the point he's trying to make is that, for example, here, when I do this builder, it internally returns the notification object, and that's why I always have, I can just put dot set content, dot set text, whatever, while this one I cannot do that. So I have the builder, that creates an object, and then I always need to use the name of the object. Anyway, this is just details, but it's just, yeah, it's different. Yeah, I get it. Okay, so let's, does anyone know how do you get out from here now?
How do you get out from it?
Okay, I guess I found it.
Yeah. On the bottom.
I can just do it like this. Okay, so if I run this on the, so I have here an emulator. So if I do the toast, that's how it appears. If I do a notification, that shows the notification over there. I don't know if you see that there. So that's notification that I just did. And if I tap it, it just goes back here. I can do an alert dialog, and you can see it blocks me out from here. And then I can do no. So it just says no. If I say yes, it says you said yes. So basically you can do these kind of things. And then the snack bar appears like that. And if I pray hi, it just says nice to meet you. Okay, so this is kind of a demo of these, how you can do things in the background. You can guide the user as things are going. So for example, you could think about how you could use these to tell the user that something has finished doing. So if you're doing things in the background, refreshing pages or content. Yeah, so the other thing that I actually had here is regarding the notification. So the notification, I said here that this is a pending intent. And in this example, I have here as a pending intent, a broadcast. And so what is gonna happen is that when I tap it, it's gonna trigger a broadcast. It's just gonna send a broadcast to the whole operating system, but I didn't specify or I didn't code anything. So I'm just sending a broadcast and no one's reacting to it. And so I actually left it here so that I could show you how to do that. So this is a broadcast receiver. So my app is gonna react to that, okay? And so let's say that, so I have that intent toast. So I wanna trigger a toast that will be done from here. So what I can do here is that I can extend this here so that okay. So as you can see, I can have short or long. So I'll just put a long one. All right. And so we have this here. So the other thing is that I don't know yet. So in here on this broadcast, I have this action, which is a trigger toast. So I need to check whether or not this is from that. So I can do here if intent action equals, oops, trigger toast. So since this action can be, the intent can be null, I can just use the question mark. So it will only execute this line if I did get an intent. Okay, so that's Kotlin being safe for you. And so it's already telling me that I need that. And so right now what I did is, in my app, I have a broadcast receiver that will react to a broadcast which action is trigger toast. And that's the one I'm going to trigger when I tap it, okay? And the only thing is right now, my app does not know about this broadcast, right? And this is where now I can specify this. So I have two ways that I could specify this. I could do it in the manifest, or I can do it in runtime. And if you do it in the manifest, that means that if any other app triggers the same broadcast, it will wake up your app. If I do it in runtime, only when my app is running, it will react to it, okay? So if I do it on the manifest, how do you do it? So I have two ways. So one of them is if I come here, and if I use Alt-Enter, it actually tells me add broadcast receiver to the manifest, okay? And if I do that, then Google will take care of this for me. And if I come here to the manifest, it just added that here. So here's the receiver, but it still doesn't know what is it that it's going to trigger it. And so that's where I need to actually change this a bit so that I specify what is the action that it's going to trigger it. And that's called an intent filter. So from all the notifications and broadcasts that the operating system will send, I just care about this trigger toast, okay? And so we're gonna do this here, intent filter, and the action is gonna be trigger toast. Okay, that's it. And that's because that's how I wrote it in here. Okay, and so that means that if any app I have installed on my phone sends that trigger, it's going to wake up this, it's actually going to show this toast. Okay, so this is a way that you can think about how your app can actually be reusable for other apps, for example. So the camera app has a lot of these. So you can actually send a broadcast that triggers take a picture, for example, or the music app to change the song you're listening to. That can also be done, triggered by a different app. So now that we've done that, this is implemented here, and we have here that on tap of the notification, we will trigger that toast. So let's run it. Let's see how, if it's actually gonna say this. Hello from the background. So if we run this now, it's still building. Just wait a bit. Okay. And so now if I trigger the notification, and let's say I close the app, and if I go there, if I tap it, I will get that toast. Just a second. What did I forget in here? Okay. You see this message here. Background execution not allowed. And basically what it's telling me is that what I'm trying to do here, I cannot do. Any reason why? Okay. It doesn't do it because the toast is only meant when you have an active activity, when you're actually looking at something, okay? And so what's happening here is that this broadcast is actually running in the background, and I'm trying to do an action, which is a toast that is supposed to show when I have something visible on the screen, and I didn't have anything visible, okay? And so instead of a toast, let's make, let me see. Let's actually open our app again, okay? Actually, I can just do Okay, and I'm gonna call my own app. Okay. All right. So what I've done is I will actually just open the app again. So even though I closed it, it will just open it again. Okay. So if I run this now, okay. So let's trigger the notification. If I close that, then I open this. Interesting. Background execution not allowed. Let's do what we always do. Let's go to Google and let's search for this. Okay. Interesting. So it seems that Google changed how this works. So I will, instead of doing it on the manifest, so the problem is that I'm registering the broadcast in the manifest. So let's just do it as part of the actual application. So let me see. So I'm doing in code what I did in the manifest. So I'm just doing a filter. And this is going to be trigger toast. And I'm going to create an instance of this broadcast receiver. Okay. And now I'm going to register receiver. And I'm going to put here and the filter. Okay. And so I'm doing this now in code. So it seems that Google is not allowing me to have this action being done in there in the manifest, which is strange. So it must be something that they changed. Okay, so let's try this now. So if I have a notification here, and if I run it, now it opened the app. Okay, so this is working. Okay, so let's try the toast again. So let's do both. In this case, it's going to work because I will open the app first and then I show the toast. Okay, so let's try that. Live coding. Okay, so let's try to run this. So if I run this, and you can see hello from the background. Okay. All right. Yeah. So now I'm curious, why didn't that work? So it seems that they are blocking manifest-based broadcast receivers. So only if your app is active, then you can react to the broadcast. And so it just says here that they are blocking these broadcasts sent by other apps intended to be delivered to other apps. So it seems that they changed how that works. So like I said, Android keeps changing every 6 months, so it's a bit funky. But yeah. So if you want to have a broadcast that is received by other things, you need to do it in code. Okay, so like that. I'm actually going to copy this to the slides, so at least you get the latest in there. So if we have, let me see here. So this was the notification. I'll just add a new one here. So live editing the slides for the class. So interesting. Okay, so this 14. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I can just put that here. I'm too fast for the computer. Okay. Yeah, so you need to register it in code itself, not through the manifest. Otherwise, it won't trigger. Yeah, so that's it. That's what I have for today. Any questions regarding these? About the confusion? Oh, okay. So basically, it seems that Google has restricted doing the registration of a broadcast receiver using the manifest. So you can no longer do what I just did here. So one of the things about having this here, or one of the benefits of having this receiver here in the manifest, so this is the receiver here, was that even if my app was not running, if another app calls this action, it would wake up my app. But it seems that Google does not want that to happen anymore, at least from what I just quickly Googled for it. But, and if you want this to be triggered, your app needs to be running. And so that's why if I do it in the code, my app was running and I triggered the notification, I opened the app and then triggered the receiver. And so I guess we just need to be careful how we think about the application when you're doing your project. So if you have a broadcast that is going to do something, you need to make sure that your app is visible so that whatever you specified inside that broadcast receiver can be triggered. Because it seems that Google is no longer allowing us to do things in the background. Yeah. Those are the challenges of Android programming. It's not just Android programming, iOS also keeps changing that. This is, let's just put it this way. If you run into issues that you have something that is not running in the background, check first whether or not you have it on the manifest. That's number one. So did you declare your service in the manifest? Did you declare your activities in the manifest? Did you declare your receivers in the manifest? So make sure that those are there. I'm actually thinking your room is not creating because you don't have it in the manifest. Can you check?
Yeah, I had to check when
Okay. Yeah, careful.
yeah.
Okay.
And that log or
Yes.
that log gets.
Yeah, lookup, yeah.
Yeah, I have to
Learn how to use it?
yeah,
Okay.
more.
So I can,
I
as you can see here, I filtered it. Because
I somehow know how to use it, but
Okay.
I haven't used it very much.
Okay. So actually, this is a quite useful tool since we are talking about this. We still have some time. You can actually use this to know what the hell is happening with your app when it's running. So this is logcat. So logcat is basically a list of things that your app is doing. And so by default, it has here no filters. So it shows everything that my phone is doing. But I can also just specify here to only show the selected application, which is the current app that I have. So if I do that, it literally just shows me things that are triggered by my own app, okay? But sometimes, like for example, that one about the background thing, you can see here, there's nothing here that says anything except for this keyword here. So this is actually triggered by the operating system, not from my app. And so ideally, if you want to make it a lot easier, just keep it at no filters. So it means you can see everything that's happening on the OS, and then you can just filter by the name of your app. And then basically, every time your app is mentioned, you will see it. Okay, that just simplifies how you get to see these errors. You can also filter by errors. So you can do, so verbose shows everything, but you can also just have errors or warnings. So you can reduce how much appears here based on this. Yeah, you're gonna have to use this as kind of a way for you to make sure that everything's working the way you intended it to work. And in general, Android is actually quite good at telling you when something doesn't work. So for example, if you try to start an activity that is not in the manifest, you actually see here saying like, oh, you tried to start something that I didn't see it. Are you forgetting to add it to the manifest? That actually says that. And so I think when you're talking about the room database, I think that's just what's happening. You probably don't have it on the manifest, or you haven't initialized the database so that it would create the database first. And then it's not, yeah. Okay. Okay, that's it for today. Thanks for coming. Be careful, it's very slippery. Sorry?
Thanks. Thanks for you.
Oh, I have to come. Yeah.